You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
Hello, good day, Ross Ford.
How's it feel to be in your home office? You almost done?
Yeah, I mean, we are moving in Friday night. We're going to spend the night here Friday night. The kids cannot wait.
Oh, Halloween weekend. Maybe you'll find out it's haunted the first weekend you spend in your new home.
I wonder how many people have been killed in this house.
Yeah, because how old is it? It's one of those old Denver joints, right?
80 years old.
80 years old?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I bet a lot of people died in that thing.
Yeah, I know.
Cool.
I started thinking about that. I'm sitting in this room. I wonder who else sat in this room and looked up at the ceiling, and then
I can tell you this much.
Well for him.
In those 80 years, no one has been alive on the radio from that joint.
That's true.
You're the first.
Pretty confident.
All right, we got lots to cover here today. We got a couple email questions. One that's going to involve a lot of people. Questions about whether or not you can restrict people from parking in front of your house just by putting up signs saying no parking. But let's start with our jerk award. We got an email from someone who deserves this right here.
Jerk. Did you record that?
Yeah, that's we hear that every time we come across a real bona fide jerk.
Jerk.
It was citizen Rob. Want to know if a homeless person is holding a sign saying anything helps, can he shoot them with a Nerf gun? Because technically they said anything helps, David.
Yeah, it's like a 5-year-old would ask a question like that. A really insensitive 5-year-old. So
my only question is, what level of assault would that be?
But that's the thing. That's going to land them in court. They're going to. You can get arrested for doing something like that. So then the question is, what does the DA think that they can get away with as far as prosecuting? Because I guarantee you, they're going to want to prosecute somebody like that. I mean, it violates just any norm, any sense of human decency. So, there was a 14-year-old I think charged a couple of years ago with felony menacing for aiming a Nerf gun at traffic. And so in this one, I think you could at least charge some kind of felony menacing, which is in Colorado our version of battery. We don't, you hear people talk about assault and battery. And so, with menacing, you're putting somebody in the fear that they're actually going to get hurt. You might look at it and say, okay, it's a Nerf gun. He's not going to get hurt with a Nerf bullet. And maybe he can see it's a Nerf gun. There are other things too, like
sympathy,
harassment,
sympathy, and apathy. A chunk of humanity. That also is.
Anything that ends in Y. Exactly.
Good. Yeah, but it's not cool.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing. Even who does that kind of thing? But anyway, I think you're looking at.
I think you're just seeing charged
with harassment.
What kind of legal loophole he could find in the verbiage? Anything helps. And the guy said anything helps right there. So I gave him a Nerf shot there. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. One more time. Hit the jerk button. Jerk! Oh, man. Now, on a side note, real quick, and we don't have to go too far into this because I didn't give you this in advance. Eventually, one of these homeless camps is going to turn to a fire that kills someone or ruins people's homes. Who's going to be responsible? Is that going to be the city for not taking care of this problem before it got out of hand?
That's probably where somebody would go with that. You're not going to get it. You're not going to maintain a claim against a homeless person. There's no deep pocket there. And what you would argue then is, hey, the city knew about these. They didn't do enough to clean up this camp, to enforce any ordinances we have that would prevent or prohibit what they're doing. And then it got out of hand. Look, I don't have the answer for some of these things, and we just hope that we elect civic leaders and we appoint civic leaders who have answers for how to deal with some of this.
Keep an eye on Portland, too. They just banned camping on streets and public areas, but what they did to offset that, they've built homeless camps where you can safely camp, and they have the sanitary measures set up, and they have food set up for these folks and stuff like that. So we'll see if that works. I don't know. There are no easy answers, especially when it comes to law, which we learn every time we get to hang out with you, man. There are no easy answers. David McDivitt.
And by the way, I don't know how many prosecutors tune in to this show, but I am sure prosecutors, defense attorneys, if they're listening, are just want to jump down the phone to give me suggestions of things that this person could be charged with for doing this to this homeless person. It's horrible, and I don't have all of the the top of my head. I'm trying to give you my best guesses, but
like I said, I'm hoping it was just in jest, seeing how far verbiage wise can I get away with it. Okay, let's get to another one we had a few weeks ago. One of those frivolous lawsuits, or is it? a guy buying hot sauce made by Texas Pete, and he was all excited, and he found out, oh my God, it's made in Carolina, not in Texas. I was only buying it because it says Texas Pete. I'm going to sue you. Is that going to be a thing? Does he have a chance to win? And if he does win, does he only get like the price of the bottle of the hot sauce or what?
I don't know. And this is one where it sounds like he's found a lawyer who really...
Or you even said off the air you think he might be a lawyer himself, huh?
Oh, that's not what I was saying. Maybe he is. Maybe he is. That's not what I was trying to imply. I was just trying to imply that I think there is I think what happens is people see lawsuits like this and then they want to reform the whole system. These are one-offs. This isn't, I think, a great lawsuit. I don't love a lawsuit where they're nitpicking at something like this, where they even on the website explain the origin of the word Texas Pete. They don't purport to be a Texas-based company using Texas-based ingredients. It's a nickname that somebody had in the 1920s when they started the company.
Right.
And so the guy named it after his son, whose nickname was Texas Pete. And I just, when I went out to college for a little while in Virginia, and somebody there gave me the nickname Colorado Bob. My name isn't Bob.
Where'd that come from?
I have no idea.
Hey, Colorado Bob.
It's Colorado Bob.
Hey, Dave. Dave McDivitt, your new name, Colorado Bob.
Exactly. So if I started a company out there in Virginia and I called it Colorado Bob's, sausage and burgers, right? People are going to say, well, is this just authentic Colorado food? Well, no, maybe it's made in Virginia, but my nickname is Colorado Bob. Am I not allowed to use my nickname with a product? I mean, that's the name. That's my nickname. That's my moniker. I'm sure on the bottle it says that it's made in North Carolina. So I think the lawsuit alleges that it's not enough that they say it on the website. They don't put it on the bottle. But I don't know. Roz, your question: will it succeed? It might, but.
And then, let's say they find them guilty, duping him, whatever.
Fraudulent, yeah, that they intentionally.
But what's he going to get? A couple bucks for the can of sauce? He's not going to get millions of dollars, right? This isn't something that shook his life to its core. No. And as a plaintiff, you have the people who become the class representatives. If it is even certified as a class, you may have a judge that just says, I'm not going to certify this as a class. So you, individual person, can maintain this claim and sue this company for the damages that equal very little money to you. Their only value is if they can get a judge to certify it as a class, and then they can exert some leverage on the company and they might get a settlement. I think that is what the lawyer is probably doing. And keep in mind, the kind of law that I practice, class action work, falls under that. So, I am sympathetic to the type of law that this is and the kinds of lawyers who do this, who really do a good job of making the world a better place for people, who identify areas where things really need to be corrected, where we need reforms. The Texas Pete hot sauce issue is not one of those, and it kind of pollutes the whole atmosphere. And I that's why I don't like it. I don't like those things because they're not helping the cause. They're not helping make this a better community. Clog up the system a little bit. It's kind of irresponsible to bring this, especially when what we have going on in the world right now, that's just not really important.
There are so many hot sauces where they need to be sued for other good reasons. Right. Well, they're not hot enough. They're too hot.
There's a brand that says it's hot sauce from hell. Oh, can I sue them? Because I'm pretty sure it's not really from hell.
That it falls under the same category. Exactly.
Well, apparently other people now have jumped on this Texas Pete guy's idea. Summer was saying that there's some Italian pasta that's now being attacked because it's made in Jersey or something like that.
Well, and look, don't forget, paste picante sauce. We know where that's made. New York City.
New York City.
This stuff's made in New York City. Okay, so I'll tell you what.
We just got lawyered by Dave McDivitt.
You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
Hello, Line 1. What are you doing?
Hey, I am working.
Cool. What's the question then? You got some kind of a lawsuit, civil suit going on?
Yes, I have a civil lawsuit going on, and it's in the process of right now. We're in the middle of serving paperwork to the defendants, but we found some additional evidence to actually support that there is another person and possibly even more that are also involved, and we want to add them to this.
How long have you been going on? How long has this process been so far from the beginning to today?
It's hard to explain. Okay, so
right, keep it short. I mean, obviously we don't.
Yeah, right. So October 10th is when we filed federal because they were going in the local court and nothing was getting done. They just kept doing continuance after continuance after continuance. So it's nothing was happening. So we had to take it to federal. So to actually start the ball rolling.
So we're into it now.
Additional evidence. What's that?
I said, so we're into it now, and then, so how do they add more people to the lawsuit, Dave?
Hey, well, let me ask you, do you have do you have a lawyer helping you on this?
We lose Dave?
Do you have a lawyer? No? No. He's doing it on his own.
No. I can't hear Dave.
Oh, hold on a second. How about that?
Can you hear me now, line one?
Ha-ha, there we are.
Okay, hey, do you have a lawyer helping you with this?
No, I filed pro se.
You filed pro se, okay. All right, yeah, so in fact, this happens all the time because that's a large part of what happens in discovery, even later on in the case. You're pretty early on in the case, but later on, people take depositions, they get documents from the other side, and that sheds light on things, and they realize, hey, you know what, there is another party that needs to be added to this case. So there are different mechanisms for doing that, and it really just depends on, where things are with the case. I mean, you can always file a lawsuit assuming that this, you can always file a lawsuit, right? The other side might have a defense that's valid, that the statute of limitations is run, or that, venue is improper for one reason or another, or that there's not a valid claim there. But you can actually just sue them. I mean, there's a procedure that you have to follow to actually, file the complaint and then serve it. So you can serve a lawsuit on somebody else and then file a motion to join that with the current case, or you can, make an amendment to the complaint to then add extra defendants. Yeah. So there are ways to do it. It just depends on, if you're already at issue, if they've already answered the complaint, for example, then it may inform how you want to take the next step, how you want to add somebody. But it can certainly be done.
Yeah, that's what I figured. The court system, or the courthouse, is actually extremely helpful in getting me the right paperwork.
Yep.
But as far as filling it out and telling me what to do, no.
No, they're really careful about doing that, because they don't want to give legal advice. Believe it or not, I mean, so much of this stuff is pretty available on the internet, finding out, how do I go about doing this in federal court? How do I do this in Colorado State Court? And obviously the respective websites for the court systems, the state and federal court systems, usually have a lot of that information because they, one of the biggest things that they do is they try to provide resources for people who are pro se.
That's good. And it makes sense, too, that obviously more stuff would come to light the more you investigate everything. Well, good luck with that. And that's it. So fairly common to add people to lawsuits.
Yep.
All right, let's see here. Let's get to one of the couple of emails we have here today. Let's get to.
Can I bring the one up that? By the way, can I just say hello to all the folks at Valley High Golf Course? Can I do that?
Yeah, you just did. I think
I just did. There you go.
Valley High, what up?
I went to a Bronco game earlier this year, and there were some folks there from that, and they had there was a woman who was part of their broader group. I don't know that she's affiliated with the golf course, but she'd been drinking for a little while, and she found out who I was, and she didn't believe me. And so she asked me to prove it. So I showed her my driver's license, and she still couldn't believe it. And finally I said to her, look, if I wanted to tell you that I'm somebody that I'm not, I would have picked somebody like George Clooney rather than David McDivitt, local attorney.
Otherwise, he'd be like Matlock or
Matlock. Yeah, exactly.
Johnny Cochran.
Like
that.
Yeah, not David McDivitt. So I showed her my driver's license. She kind of, then she believed it. And then 5 minutes later, she asked me to give her more of my business cards. And I said, I didn't give you my business card. I showed you my driver's license.
Right.
So she was great. But the guys at Valley High, who were not really connected to her, they were just there at the time. They listened to the show, so I wanted to tell them hi. Yeah.
Valley High, what up there, gang? Thanks for being a part of it here.
Hey, and there's no parking stuff in front of a school zone.
Let's do that one next, yeah.
Because it's like a personal issue with me.
Oh yeah, because you got kids, you got to drop them off.
I've got kids. I do the pickup every day.
Here's the question for the Law Frog: what are the laws for a homeowner putting no parking signs in front of their house across the street against the elementary school pickup and drop off? Is it illegal or not, essentially blocking tons of parking and then forcing parents to park blocks away from the school just because no one's happy about it?
Yeah.
So I think this is definitely something that is illegal, and you don't have to follow their stupid no parking signs. Is that right?
That's general, unless there something else I'm missing, and that's what I think too. I think what's happening is what they are doing is they are, first of all, that a sign like that may be considered a sign that impersonates a governmental sign, which is a no-go. You can't just put your own signs up that kind of imply that it's the government. Right, exactly. And if, for example, and if it's on a pole, if it's a freestanding sign, it's not attached to a building, that requires a permit to begin with. So that's not going to go if they don't have a permit for it. But you can't just unilaterally try to say no parking on a city street when it's the city that maintains whether somebody can park in front of your house. If the sidewalk and the area in front of your house, like the street, is private to you, that's one thing. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about a street that ultimately leads to an elementary school. And so parents, and this is common around the country, and I deal with it every day. In fact, there's a woman in this neighborhood where my kids go to school, and her main job in life is to get out of her house about 2:45 in the afternoon and walk around and police cars, not for parking on the street, but for parking and blocking alleys and driveways. And she's right about that, because you can't just stop in front of a person's driveway and block the access to the driveway. So, you have to park within 5 feet of either side of the driveway. So there are instances like that where, parents and people who are doing pickup need to be conscientious.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, so she's out there doing it pretty religiously, but
And I can see this would be frustrating for a homeowner, but then you're the one who bought a house next to elementary school.
Exactly. And I know, and I understand that during the school year, this is true. Traffic can be a nightmare around schools, but you know that when you purchase near a school, and you cannot just try to enforce things that you want that are illegal for you to do and is legal for somebody else to do. And so stopping on the street in front of your house, if you're not causing by your particular parking spot causing a major issue, that's probably okay for you to park there, and it's not okay for them to have that no parking sign. But you've got to be conscientious that you're not blocking streets, you're not blocking alleys, you're not blocking driveways, you're not stopping in the middle of the intersection or in crosswalks. So there are ordinances that prevent you from stopping at a certain point.
From
within
here on out, what does our citizen do? Do they just park where they and then?
Yeah. Just pull up
tell
there.
them that it's illegal, and they can contact
and say,
the city?
okay, and do you have a permit for that sign? And is this private property?
Ask for a permit.
Yep.
And that'll scare them away, I bet.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much they can do. Whether they're going to call the police.
You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
Neighbors who have a bad yard and driving prices of the neighborhood down, is there anything you can do about that? I'm going to say, unfortunately, probably not.
Well, it depends, and this is why most people don't like living next to you.
Hey-oh!
Boom!
And we got Tanya here with an interesting one. So,
okay.
And then, correct me. I'm going to try to give them the quickest versions I can, Tanya.
Okay.
She had a truck. It was being worked on by a mechanic. That mechanic shop shut down or whatever, so all the cars were towed away. They didn't realize that until it was almost too late. They said, hey, we're going to sell your car. We've had it long enough. We're going to throw it up for auction. If you want it, you can come bid on it. They didn't. Someone bid on it. The state has cleared the title for the new owner, yet it's still on, basically, you're still paying for this thing with your new car loan. Is that right, Tanya? Is that basically where we're at?
The financial institution that had the truck, that we're financing the truck through, took and added the truck loan to my Jeep loan.
Which is a recent loan. You got the Jeep after you lost the truck.
Yes. And they were just trying to tell us that, that they were going to take care of the whole truck situation. Well, come to find out that they signed off on the title to clear the title for the new owner that owns it. Uh-huh. But we're still paying on this truck.
Right.
And I was wondering if that was like a breach of contract for them doing that when they sat there and told us that they were taking care of it because they spoke to the tow company.
Interesting.
Oh, what a mess. What a mess.
It's a tangled web, so it's like they're double dipping on the car, basically.
Yeah, they totally took my equity out of my car and paid the truck off with it.
What does she do, Dave?
So yeah, look, I'm. It's tough to answer really quickly because this is a lot. There are a lot of moving parts to this, but it sounds like the loan that you had for the truck, wasn't satisfied whenever the truck was ultimately sold at auction. And so there's some residual amount left on that you would theoretically be on the hook for. But you're saying they told you that they would somehow not charge you for that then, and then they were going to roll that amount that was still owed into your car loan, perhaps?
Well, no, they told us, because we were telling them we didn't want to be responsible for the truck anymore because we didn't lose it on our own.
No, I understand, but but you're on the hook for the amount that you borrowed.
Yeah, because banks really don't care. They care about sob stories, right? If anything, it's a win for the bank. They're like, yeah, that's why we gave you the loan in the first place.
Well, they just need to make sure that they're sad. I mean, the way they are going to look at it is, look, we let's just call it $5,000. We loaned you $5,000 so you could go buy this truck. You lost the truck somehow through this weird process of the mechanic folding and then getting towed and then being auctioned off. But regardless of what happened to the truck and the title, there is still an outstanding loan obligation to the bank for whatever amount was still owed. Let's call that $2,000. So then that bank says they still need to be paid the $2,000, and you went to them for a loan for the car, but they told you that they weren't going to then charge you anymore for that. They're going to write off that $2,000. And again, I'm using these random numbers, but is that kind of what happened?
Well, I mean, I'm just not understanding with the whole situation, because they talked to the tow company before the truck was sold, and they said that they were going to take care of it and get everything taken care of. And then it just kind of, we were just kind of sitting around, waiting to find out what was going on. And then it just, they said that they were just trying to help us to save money and combine both of the Jeep and the truck loan.
Do you have any emails? Do you have anything documented that you could use with them saying that they were going to take care of this?
No, it was just my husband and I that went in and talked.
And I wonder what take care of means. Does it mean they would take care of just making sure that the new owner could get clear title to the car, and they would release the title, which has nothing really to do with their loan, but their money they're owed? I just don't. Gosh, Tanya, I don't know. This is tricky, and I don't have a great answer for you on this one.
It doesn't seem like a lot you could do.
Yeah, well, I would just try to really press the bank to put down in writing or give you the documentation showing exactly what you owe, when it's due, and just try to continue to make good current payments on that, while you then continue to try to sort out if the principal amount that you owe really could be reduced, because they explained they were going to take care of that truck for you guys. I think that's the angle I would take.
Case the double dip. All right, Tanya. Good luck there.
Yeah, good luck, Tanya.
Can't beat the bank, baby. You just can't beat the bank. Final question for the Law Frog. You can also shoot questions for next month's segment as well. Anytime. Go to the website, kilo943.com. There's a quick link, says Law Frog, name, phone number if you'd like, and your question. Last one from citizen Kevin here. Can I file a civil suit against my neighbors for loss of value on my property because they refuse to maintain their yard, such as cleaning up after multiple dogs and chickens? Gross. My neighborhood is managed by a metro district that does fine them for failure to maintain their property. But if I sell my home, I stand to lose money because my neighbors haven't cleaned up after their pets and just kept their house in order. What's Kevin to do? Oh, there's the big side, Kevin.
I know. Look, Kevin, so the first thing that kind of came to mind was something that, because I haven't done a lot of nuisance work, but there's in law school, I think most lawyers study this case in law school and this idea of nuisance law. And I'm perhaps remembering it incorrectly, but it had to do with somebody who owned a home next to a pig farm. And so the pigs, the odors of the farm, or maybe I got it backwards. There's a pig farm in one of the cities in Arizona was expanding. And finally they sued the pig farm saying, look, you're creating a nuisance. And the idea was, the problem was, well, you came close to the pig farm. The pig farm was always there.
Yeah.
But I think the city, whatever entity it was, I think they won the case, and you are a nuisance. So the question is, does the chicken poop and the dog poop create a nuisance that needs to be corrected? And generally, if it's corrected and it didn't create any permanent damage to the property, then there's really going to be no diminution of value to a potential sale or in a potential sale. So, and I don't know what else it would fall under. I would suggest that this guy really try to push the Metro District to take a firm stance with his neighbor to make sure that it's cleaned up. I mean, it could be a health and safety issue if this, I don't know how bad the poop is. But the city or the metro district can really try to lean on them to keep their property clean and sanitary. And again, I'm probably missing something on this one, but I mean, it's certainly yucky, and maybe some good neighborly communication can help facilitate this. But I mean, I don't know. It's tough.
It is tough. No easy answers, as we learn every single time we get time with this guy. So maybe just talk to him, see if he can get something worked out that way. Otherwise, what if they're being fined all the time? They just pay the fines. They're like, I'm cool. I can pay you $30 every month or two. I'm good with that. But that's less work than cleaning up poop.
Gosh. You can buy poop picker-uppers. You know that. Like, you can hire them. They'll pick up the dog poop. It may be harder to pick up chicken poop. Yeah, I know. I used one.
And chicken poop, I think, is good to go back at the ground. I'm not sure. Or maybe this will make gunpowder. I don't know.
Gunpowder with chicken poop?
And I want everyone to take note today on the Law Frog segment with the lawyer, our lawyer, David McDivitt. He uttered the phrase, I don't know how bad the poop is. You actually said that today, Dave. That was awesome.
Thank you for listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM, presented by McDivitt Law Firm.